Hello there and welcome to Calm Mind, where thoughts finally slow down. I'm so glad you found your way here. Tonight, we gently observe a universal paradox. The moment we commit to rest, our thoughts often commit to a sudden, relentless speed. Perhaps the external world has quieted, but the internal volume has turned up. And we wonder, why does my mind feel loudest when I try to sleep? For the next few hours, we will explore the soft science behind this phenomenon. You don't need to fight this noise. You don't need to silence it. Just allow the focused stillness of our narration to become a counterpoint, a gentle hum against the sharpness of your own thoughts. There is nothing to achieve, and nothing to lose if you drift away. Just yield to the stillness of the observation. As you lie down, the world subtly changes its texture. The constant, predictable flood of daylight and movement, the things that usually hold our mind's attention externally, begins to recede. This reduction in sensory data, this quiet surrender of the external world, does not lead to silence, but to a new form of focus. Our brain uses up to 80% of its resources simply processing the environment. Imagine that for a moment. The vast majority of your brain's incredible computational power is dedicated to making sense of what you see, what you hear, what you touch, what moves around you. When those resources are suddenly freed up, they do not just vanish, they are redirected inward. We begin to hear the things we usually filter out: the distant traffic, the gentle hum of electricity, the soft settling of the house around you, and the surprisingly loud echo of our own thoughts. The canvas of your mind, which was once painted over with the day's events, suddenly becomes blank, allowing the fine print of internal worry to emerge with startling clarity. This is not a malfunction. This is not your mind betraying you. This is simply the natural consequence of withdrawing from the sensory feast of the day. Your nervous system, having spent hours filtering and prioritizing external signals, now finds itself in a quiet room with nothing urgent to process. And so it turns its powerful attention inward, toward the repository of unfinished thoughts, half-formed concerns, and the emotional residue of the day. Think of it like this. During the day, your mind is like a busy restaurant kitchen. There is noise everywhere: the sizzle of pans, the chopping of vegetables, the calling out of orders. Each sound covers the others. But when the restaurant closes, when the last customer leaves and the lights dim, suddenly you can hear the refrigerator humming, the tap dripping, the floorboards creaking. These sounds were always there. You simply couldn't hear them before. Your thoughts are the same. They have been there all day, murmuring beneath the surface of your awareness. But now, in the stillness, they rise up with unexpected volume. The worry about tomorrow's meeting. The conversation you wish you had handled differently. The task you forgot to complete. The person you need to call. These thoughts are not louder than they were before. You are simply no longer distracted from them. And here is the gentle paradox. The more you try to create silence, the more sensitive you become to the noise. This is a principle called auditory gating, the brain's ability to filter out repetitive or unimportant sounds. During the day, your auditory gates are wide open, constantly sorting through the cacophony of life. But at night, when you seek silence, these gates begin to close, and in doing so, they amplify even the smallest sounds. A distant siren becomes intrusive. A partner's breathing becomes loud. Your own heartbeat becomes a drum. The same is true for your mental landscape. The quieter you try to become externally, the more you notice the internal chatter. This is not failure. This is sensitivity. And sensitivity, though uncomfortable, is also a form of awareness. You are becoming aware of what has been there all along. So do not fight this sensitivity. Do not judge yourself for noticing. Simply observe, as you might observe the distant sound of rain on a rooftop, or the gentle rustling of leaves outside your window. Your thoughts are weather. They are not you. They are simply passing through the vast, open space of your awareness. The world did not become silent. Your mind became sensitive. And in this sensitivity, there is a strange kind of beauty. You are finally listening to yourself, perhaps for the first time all day. Not to fix anything. Not to solve anything. Just to listen. Let the sensitivity be what it is. Let the thoughts rise and fall like waves on a dark ocean. You are safe here, in this quiet, sensitive space. You do not need to do anything with what you hear. Just allow it to be. Have you ever noticed how time seems to move differently at night? How 5 minutes of lying awake can feel like 30? How the space between one thought and the next seems to stretch impossibly long? This is not your imagination. This is the physics of attention changing the texture of time itself. There is a strange cruelty to the architecture of sleep. It is the only human need that cannot be achieved through willpower alone. You cannot force yourself to sleep the way you can force yourself to eat, to move, to speak. Sleep requires something more elusive, surrender. And yet, lying here in the dark, your mind does the opposite. It grips tighter. It tries harder. It calculates and strategizes and plans its way toward rest. This is what scientists call the paradox of intention. The very act of trying to sleep activates the systems in your brain that keep you awake. Your prefrontal cortex, sensing a goal to be achieved, begins to monitor your progress. Am I falling asleep yet? How close am I? What's preventing it? These questions, though well-intentioned, create a feedback loop of vigilance. You become the observer of your own sleep attempt, and in observing, you remain awake. Think of sleep as a shy animal in the forest. When you chase it directly, it flees. But when you sit quietly, without agenda, without expectation, it may come to you of its own accord. This is not merely poetic imagery. This is the neurological reality of how sleep arrives. It comes not through pursuit, but through permission. Throughout the day, your body has been building what sleep researchers call sleep pressure. This is the accumulation of a neurochemical called adenosine, which gradually saturates your brain, creating the biological drive toward rest. By this hour of the night, your sleep pressure should be immense. Your body desperately wants to sleep. The machinery is ready. The chemicals are in place. Everything is prepared. So why are you still awake? Because sleep pressure alone is not enough. There is another force at play: arousal. Not the physical kind, but the cognitive and emotional kind. Your mind, sensing threat or unfinished business or simply the importance of the task called falling asleep, releases cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals counteract the sleep pressure, keeping you in a state of alert readiness. You are simultaneously exhausted and wired, tired and vigilant, desperate for rest yet unable to achieve it. This is the cruel paradox. The more you need sleep, the more you want sleep, the more impossible sleep becomes. Because wanting itself is a form of arousal. Needing itself is a form of stress. The very desperation that should motivate rest instead prevents it. But there is a way through this paradox, and it is counterintuitive. The solution is not to try harder, but to try less. Not to care more, but to care differently. This does not mean giving up on sleep. It means giving up on the fight for sleep. It means releasing the clench of effort and allowing the natural biological tide to carry you where it was always going to carry you anyway. Imagine you are floating in warm ocean water. If you thrash and fight and try to stay afloat through sheer muscular effort, you will exhaust yourself and sink. But if you simply relax, if you trust the water to hold you, you float effortlessly. Sleep is the same. The more you fight for it, the more it eludes you. The more you trust it to arrive in its own time, the sooner it comes. So tonight, practice the art of non-trying. Notice the effort in your mind and body. Notice the clench, the push, the strain towards sleep. And then, gently, consciously, release it. Not all at once. That itself would be a form of effort. But gradually, breath by breath, thought by thought, let go of the need to make sleep happen. Your body knows how to sleep. It has done this thousands of times before. It does not need your management or supervision. What it needs is your absence from the control room. What it needs is for you to step back and let the ancient, automatic systems do what they were designed to do. The harder you chase sleep, the faster it runs away. But when you stop chasing, when you simply rest in the darkness with no agenda, sleep has nowhere to run. It circles back, curious, and settles beside you like an old friend who was waiting for the invitation all along. When we are engaged in an activity, working, reading, conversing, moving, our brain is busy creating what neuroscientists call dopamine loops. These are circuits of reward and anticipation that smooth over the gaps between moments. Time feels like a swift river, carrying us forward without effort. We are so absorbed in what we are doing that we lose track of the hours. We look up and are surprised to find that time has passed. But lying in the stillness, waiting for sleep, the brain stops trying to construct these continuous loops. There is no reward coming. There is no next task to anticipate. Instead, the brain enters a state where every second is distinct, almost isolated. This is the problem of observation in action. When we desperately wait for sleep, our vigilance sharpens, and the mind's ability to compress time vanishes. Scientists call this phenomenon chronostasis, the illusion that time has stopped or slowed dramatically. It happens when we shift our attention suddenly, when we become acutely aware of the passage of time itself. And nowhere is this more pronounced than in the dark, quiet hours of attempted sleep. You glance at the clock, 11:47. You close your eyes and engage in what feels like an eternity of thought. You open your eyes again, certain that at least 20 minutes have passed. The clock reads 11:52. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. And yet, in those 5 minutes, you have lived through entire conversations, replayed entire scenes from your day, worried about entire futures that may never come to pass. Your thoughts are not necessarily faster, but the perception of time is stretched, granting each idea an uncomfortable, lengthy resonance. This stretching of time is both a curse and a gift. It is a curse because it makes the wait for sleep feel interminable. Each moment of wakefulness feels heavy, significant, impossible to escape. But it is also a gift, because in this stretched time, you have the rare opportunity to observe the workings of your own mind with unusual clarity. You can see how one thought leads to another, how a single worry can spiral into a cascade of concerns, how your attention moves like a restless bird from branch to branch. The key to navigating this stretched time is to stop fighting against it. When you fight time, when you desperately wish for it to move faster so that sleep will finally arrive, you only increase your vigilance. You become like someone staring at a pot of water, willing it to boil. The watched pot never boils, not because of any magic, but because your attention makes every second feel longer. Instead, allow the thought to stretch. Allow the moment to linger. There is no urgency in the physics of time passing, and there is certainly none in the moment before sleep. Time will continue its forward march whether you are anxious about it or not. The sun will rise tomorrow at precisely the appointed hour. Your responsibilities will still be there when you wake. Nothing is gained by rushing towards sleep. Think of time at night as thick honey rather than water. It moves slowly, viscously, coating everything it touches. This is not a problem to solve. This is simply the nature of nighttime consciousness. During the day, time is water, fast, fluid, carrying you along. At night, time is honey, slow, rich, demanding patience. And in this honey-thick time, you can practice a different kind of existence. Not the rushed, productive existence of daylight, but the patient, observant existence of darkness. You can let each thought take as long as it needs. You can let each breath expand into the space around you. You can stop measuring, stop counting, stop calculating how many hours of sleep you might still get if you fall asleep right now. The irony is profound. The moment you stop caring about time, time begins to move normally again. The moment you release your grip on sleep, sleep becomes possible. This is the paradox at the heart of insomnia. The harder you try, the more elusive the goal becomes. So tonight, let time be viscous. Let it be slow. Let it be thick and honey-like. Do not fight against it. Do not will it to speed up. Simply exist within it, the way a swimmer floats in warm water, supported by something larger than themselves, moving at a pace that is not their own to determine. Time does not slow down. Your attention makes it viscous. And perhaps, in learning to accept this viscosity, you will find a strange kind of peace in the slow passage of the night. Your conscious mind may be loud right now, racing with thoughts and worries, but beneath that surface noise, your body is engaged in an entirely different conversation. A quieter conversation. An older conversation. One that began long before you learned language, before you developed the ability to worry about tomorrow or regret yesterday. This is the conversation of your circadian rhythm, the 24-hour cycle that governs nearly every cell in your body. Right now, as you lie in darkness, your pineal gland is releasing melatonin into your bloodstream. This hormone is often called the darkness hormone because it is triggered by the absence of light. It signals to every system in your body that night has arrived, that rest is near, that the time for restoration has come. Your core body temperature is dropping, slowly but measurably. During the day, your body runs warm, energized for activity and engagement. But as night approaches, your hypothalamus initiates a gentle cooling process. Your extremities, your hands and feet, may actually feel warmer as blood moves to the surface to release heat. But deep inside, your core temperature is falling, creating the physiological conditions that make sleep possible. Your heart rate is slowing. Your blood pressure is decreasing. Your digestive system is entering a quieter phase of operation. Your kidneys are producing less urine, allowing you to sleep through the night without interruption. Your immune system is ramping up its production of cytokines, preparing for the deep repair work that happens during sleep. All of this is happening without your permission, without your awareness, without your conscious participation. This is the profound wisdom of the autonomic nervous system, the part of your nervous system that operates automatically, managing the thousands of processes that keep you alive without requiring your attention. While your conscious mind worries about falling asleep, your autonomic nervous system is already orchestrating the complex symphony of changes that lead toward rest. The irony is striking. You are worried that you cannot sleep, but your body is already preparing for sleep. You are anxious about the process, but the process is already underway. Your conscious mind believes it is in control, that sleep is something you must achieve through effort or technique. But your body knows differently. Your body knows that sleep is not something you do, but something you allow. This disconnect between mind and body is at the heart of so much suffering around sleep. The mind, with its planning and worrying and analyzing, believes it must solve the problem of sleep. But there is no problem to solve. The body is already solving it, has been solving it for hours, will continue solving it regardless of what your mind thinks or believes or fears. So what is your role in all of this? Simply to not interfere. To recognize that beneath the noise of your thoughts, your body is engaged in work that is far older and far wiser than any conscious strategy you might employ. Your job is not to make sleep happen. Your job is to create the conditions where your body can do what it already knows how to do. Trust in this ancient wisdom. Trust in the circadian rhythms that have been refined over millions of years of evolution. Trust in the autonomic nervous system that has kept you alive since the moment of your birth. Trust that your body wants to sleep, needs to sleep, and knows precisely how to sleep. You do not need to teach your heart how to slow down. You do not need to instruct your body temperature to drop. You do not need to remind your pineal gland to release melatonin. All of this is happening, right now, beneath the turbulent surface of your conscious mind. And it will continue happening, patiently, persistently, until sleep finally arrives. While your mind races, your body has already begun the journey toward rest. And that journey will complete itself, in its own time, according to its own wisdom. All you need to do is rest here, breathing, trusting, allowing the body's forgotten wisdom to guide you home. There is a particular quality to nighttime thoughts that makes them different from daytime thoughts. During the day, thoughts are practical, forward-moving, solution-oriented. But at night, thoughts become circular, repetitive, stuck. You find yourself returning again and again to the same moment, the same conversation, the same worry. Why? The answer lies in a network of brain regions called the default mode network, or DMN. This is a system of interconnected areas that becomes highly active when we are not focused on an external task. It is the engine of self-referential thought, planning, memory retrieval, and, most crucially for our purposes tonight, rumination. The default mode network is what allows you to imagine the future, to replay the past, to think about yourself and your place in the world. It is, in many ways, the neurological seat of consciousness itself. But it has a particular quirk. It treats the act of falling asleep as a task that has been initiated but not yet completed. And the DMN does not like incomplete tasks. Your internal dialogue, therefore, becomes a tireless editor, reviewing and correcting every misstep or missed opportunity of the day. Did you say the right thing in that meeting? Could you have been clearer? Should you have spoken up? Should you have stayed quiet? The mind replays these moments not out of mere curiosity, but out of a deep-seated need to resolve them, to finish them, to make them complete. This loop is fueled by a subtle anxiety that if you surrender to sleep now, you will forget the important thing you need to remember tomorrow. Some crucial insight will be lost. Some necessary preparation will remain undone. And so the mind continues its work, like a diligent employee who refuses to leave the office until every task is checked off the list. But here is what the mind does not understand. The day is already finished. The conversations have already happened. The choices have already been made. No amount of mental review will change what has already occurred. And tomorrow's tasks will still be there tomorrow, written in your calendar, saved in your notes, held in the structure of your life. They do not need your vigilance right now to continue existing. What if the greatest correction you could make is the gentle decision to let the day's imperfect script simply dissolve until the morning? What if the most important thing you could do right now is nothing at all? The final thought is never the most important one. This is a truth worth repeating. The final thought is never the most important one. Your mind believes that if it can just think one more thought, review one more scenario, prepare for one more possibility, then it will finally be safe to rest. But that final thought never comes. There is always one more concern, one more contingency, one more thing to consider. This is the nature of the default mode network when left to its own devices. It is a powerful tool for self-reflection and planning, but it does not know when to stop. It will continue looping indefinitely unless you gently intervene, not by fighting the thoughts, but by recognizing them for what they are, the mind's well-intentioned but misguided attempt to protect you by staying vigilant. Imagine your mind as a concerned parent, checking and rechecking that all the doors are locked, all the lights are off, all the children are safe in bed. The parent's intentions are loving, protective, caring. But at some point, the checking becomes counterproductive. At some point, the parent needs to trust that everything is secure enough and go to sleep. Your mind is that concerned parent. It is not tormenting you on purpose. It is trying to take care of you in the only way it knows how. But it needs your permission to stop. It needs you to gently say, "Thank you for caring. Thank you for reviewing. Thank you for trying to prepare me. But right now, we rest. Right now, we let go." You can speak to your thoughts this way. You can acknowledge them without obeying them. You can say, "I see you. Worry about tomorrow's presentation. I see you. Regret about this afternoon's conversation. I see you. List of things I need to remember." You can all be here. But you do not need my active participation right now. I will return to you in the morning, when I have the energy and clarity to actually address you. This is not suppression. This is not denial. This is simply boundary setting with your own mind. You are not pushing the thoughts away. You are acknowledging them and then choosing not to engage. You are like a meditation practitioner who notes each thought as it arises, thinking, and then returns attention to the breath. The cognitive loop of self-correction will continue for a while. This is normal. The default mode network does not shut off easily. But with each cycle, as you continue to observe without engaging, the loop loses a little bit of its energy. The thoughts become less insistent. The reviews become less detailed. The mind begins to understand that you are not going to participate in this particular conversation tonight. And slowly, gradually, the tireless editor begins to set down the red pen. The internal dialogue begins to quiet. Not because you have found the perfect final thought, but because you have stopped looking for it. You have given yourself permission to leave the day incomplete, imperfect, unresolved. You have trusted that tomorrow, you will have the resources to handle whatever needs handling. The mind is not reviewing. It is desperately trying to finish the day. But the day is already finished. All that remains is for you to gently close the book, turn off the light, and rest. Beneath the surface of your awareness, even as you lie awake feeling frustrated by the noise in your mind, something profound and necessary is happening. Your brain is engaging in the ancient work of sorting, organizing, and storing the experiences of the day. This is not optional. There is a particular kind of thought that emerges at night, a thought that feels both urgent and unclear. You find yourself thinking about tomorrow's meeting, or the email you need to send, or the conversation that didn't go quite right. But if you pause and really examine these thoughts, you may notice something curious. They don't actually feel like thoughts about those things. They feel like something else wearing the disguise of those things. This is because the conscious thoughts that loop through your mind at night are often proxies, stand-ins for deeper emotional states that are more difficult to name. Anxiety about tomorrow's presentation may actually be anxiety about worthiness, about being seen, about the fear of inadequacy. Worry about an unfinished task may actually be grief for time passing, for the feeling that life is slipping through your fingers faster than you can catch it. Deep in your brain, there is a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. This is your emotional alarm system, constantly scanning your internal and external environment for anything that might constitute threat. During the day, when you are busy and distracted, the amygdala's signals are often drowned out by the noise of activity. But at night, in the quiet and darkness, these emotional signals rise to the surface with surprising intensity. The amygdala does not speak in words. It speaks in feelings, in sensations, in vague unease or unnamed dread. It communicates through the tightness in your chest, the flutter in your stomach, the sense that something is wrong even if you cannot say what. Your conscious mind, trying to make sense of these feelings, searches for explanations. And it finds them in the details of your day, in your relationships, in your responsibilities. But these explanations are often just the mind's attempt to create a story that makes sense of a feeling that exists beneath language. This is why talking back to your anxious thoughts often doesn't work. You can reassure yourself that the presentation will go fine, that the task will get done, that the conversation wasn't as bad as you think. But the anxiety persists because the thought was never really about those things. It was about something deeper, something the amygdala is trying to communicate but doesn't have the words for. So what do you do with this insight? You could try to identify the real feeling beneath the proxy thought. Sometimes this works. Sometimes naming the true emotion, loneliness, fear, grief, shame, allows it to soften and release. But sometimes the feeling is too nebulous, too ancient, too far beneath conscious awareness to be named. Sometimes all you can do is acknowledge that there is weight here, weight you are carrying, weight that has no clear shape or story. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the amygdala does not need you to solve its concerns or even to fully understand them. Perhaps it just needs you to acknowledge them, to say quietly to yourself, there is something here. Some feeling, some fear, some old pain. I don't need to know exactly what it is. I just need to know that it's allowed to be here. This is a form of emotional permission, a way of making space for what is present without needing to analyze or fix it. When you stop fighting the feeling, stop trying to think your way out of it or around it, something shifts. The amygdala, having been acknowledged, can begin to settle. not because the underlying concern has been resolved, but because it has been witnessed. The thoughts that keep you awake are often not the ones you're thinking about. They are the feelings beneath the thoughts, the unnamed emotions that dress themselves up in the clothing of practical concerns. And while you may not be able to resolve these deeper feelings tonight, you can hold them with gentleness, with the understanding that they are part of being human, part of having a heart that feels and cares and worries about things that matter. Let the weight be here. Let the unnamed things sit in the room with you. You do not need to make it leave. You do not need to understand it fully. You just need to acknowledge its presence, the way you might acknowledge a quiet visitor who has come to sit beside you in the dark. They are not here to harm you. They are just here, part of the landscape of this particular night, part of the texture of being alive and awake and feeling. And in time, as you rest with this weight rather than against it, you may find that it becomes less heavy, not because it has gone away, but because you are no longer fighting to keep it at bay. The struggle was always heavier than the feeling itself. This is not something you can postpone. This is the brain's essential housekeeping, and it must happen, whether you are asleep or merely resting quietly in the dark. As sleep approaches, or as your body rests in a state that is close to sleep, the brain initiates a gentle, necessary reorganization. This is the phase of synaptic pruning, where the temporary, short-term ideas of the day are either consolidated into long-term memory or discarded entirely. Think of it as the brain deciding what to keep in the archive and what to release back into the void. The sudden burst of frantic thoughts you experience at bedtime is often just the surface agitation of this deep, internal process. It is the mental dust being stirred up before it settles. Imagine a librarian working late at night, moving books from the returns cart to their proper shelves, occasionally pulling a volume out to flip through its pages before deciding where it belongs. From outside the library, you might see the lights on, see shadows moving, and assume something urgent is happening. But inside, it is simply the quiet, methodical work of organization. Your brain is that librarian, and your consciousness is the passerby watching the shadows. You are seeing the activity but not understanding its purpose. You interpret the movement as chaos, as noise that should not be there. But in reality, this is order being created, not disturbed. The thoughts that rise up as you try to sleep are not random. They are the experiences, emotions, and information that your brain has flagged as potentially important. A surprising piece of news. An emotionally charged conversation. A new skill you tried to learn. A problem you tried to solve. These memories are surfacing one last time, allowing the brain to examine them, strengthen the neural pathways associated with them, and decide whether they warrant permanent storage. This process is called memory consolidation, and it is one of the primary reasons we sleep at all. During sleep, particularly during deep sleep and REM sleep, the brain replays the day's experiences at high speed, reinforcing the connections that matter and allowing the irrelevant details to fade. But the process begins even before sleep arrives, in that liminal space between wakefulness and rest where you currently find yourself. So when a thought from the day suddenly intrudes on your attempt to relax, the email you need to send, the person who said something that bothered you, the article you read that surprised you. Do not see this as an interruption. See it as your brain doing its job, making one final pass through the material before filing it away. The thought is not demanding action. It is simply requesting acknowledgement. And here is the beautiful part. You do not need to actively participate in this process. You do not need to analyze the thoughts, solve the problems they present, or make any decisions about them. Your conscious mind is not the one doing the sorting. That work is being handled by deeper, older systems that have been refining this process for millions of years. Your job is simply to rest and allow it to happen. Think of your thoughts as leaves floating down a dark river. You are standing on the riverbank, watching them pass. Some leaves are large and colorful, demanding attention. Others are small and brown, barely noticeable. But all of them are moving in the same direction, downstream, away from you. You do not need to reach out and grab them. You do not need to examine each one. You are merely the witness, observing their quiet journey to a place you do not need to follow. This is not a time for active thinking, but for passive sorting. The distinction is important. Active thinking is when you engage with a thought, turn it over, try to solve it, plan your response to it. Passive sorting is when you simply notice the thought, acknowledge its presence, and let it continue moving through your awareness without grabbing hold of it. If you find yourself getting caught up in a particular thought, gently remind yourself, this thought is trying to find its proper place. I do not need to help it. I do not need to engage with it. I simply need to observe it passing through. And then, as best you can, return your attention to something neutral. Your breath, the weight of your body on the bed, the soft sounds of the night around you. The synaptic pruning that occurs during this time is essential for learning, for emotional regulation, for mental health. Without it, our brains would become cluttered with irrelevant information, unable to distinguish between what matters and what doesn't. The process can feel uncomfortable because it involves a temporary increase in mental activity. But this activity is not something to fear or fight. It is something to trust. Your brain knows what it is doing. It has done this every single night of your life, sorting through the day's experiences, deciding what to keep and what to release. You do not need to supervise this process. You do not need to micromanage it. You simply need to create the conditions that allow it to happen. Stillness, darkness, rest. The thoughts are not loud. They are simply trying to find their proper place. There is a particular quality to consciousness at this hour, a softness around the edges of who you think you are. During the day, your sense of self is sharp and defined. You are this person with this name, this history, these responsibilities, these relationships. The boundary between you and the world feels clear, solid, unquestionable. But here, in the liminal space between waking and sleep, that boundary begins to blur. Neuroscientists have discovered that the sense of being a separate self, a distinct individual existing inside your head looking out at the world, is not a given fact but a construction. It is something your brain actively creates and maintains, primarily through the activity of specific regions in the parietal cortex. These regions integrate sensory information about your body's position in space, creating the felt sense of "here I am" and "there is the world." But as you move towards sleep, as the parietal cortex begins to quiet its activity, this sense of boundary becomes less insistent. You may notice it as a subtle feeling of expansion, as though you are not quite contained within the outline of your body anymore. Or you may notice it as a gentle dissolving, a sense that the sharp edges of your selfhood are becoming softer, more porous, less defined. This is not pathological. This is not something to fear. This is actually a glimpse into a more fundamental truth about the nature of consciousness itself. The boundary between self and world is useful during waking life. It helps you navigate, make decisions, protect your interests. But it is also, in some sense, arbitrary. Where exactly does you end and not you begin? At the surface of your skin? At the edge of your thoughts? At the boundary of your attention? When you really examine this question, you find that the boundary is not as clear as it seemed. You are constantly exchanging matter with the environment, breathing in air, breathing out carbon dioxide, absorbing light through your eyes, radiating heat from your skin. Your thoughts are shaped by the books you've read, the conversations you've had, the culture you swim in. Your sense of self in this moment is influenced by the comfort of your bed, the temperature of the room, the quality of the darkness around you. So who are you, really? Are you the thoughts passing through awareness? But thoughts come and go, and you remain to witness them. Are you the feelings and sensations? But these too are constantly changing, and something in you observes their change. Are you the memories, the history, the accumulated experiences? But memory is unreliable, constantly being rewritten, and yet some core sense of I am persists beneath all the revisions. This question, who am I, is not meant to be answered tonight, but the asking of it, the genuine inquiry into the nature of self, can have a profound and unexpected effect. It loosens the grip of identification. It creates space between awareness and the contents of awareness. It allows you to rest as the spacious witness rather than the narrow actor trying to make sleep happen. In the space between waking and sleep, you have the opportunity to experience consciousness in a more fluid, less defended state. You can notice what it's like when the walls of yourself become permeable, when the insistence on being this particular person with these particular problems softens into something more open, more vast, more fundamentally at peace. This does not mean losing yourself or becoming nothing. It means recognizing that what you fundamentally are is larger and more spacious than the narrow identity you carry during the day. You are not just the worrier, the planner, the achiever, the person who needs to fall asleep. You are also the awareness in which all of those roles appear and disappear, the vast open space in which thoughts arise and dissolve like clouds in an empty sky. As you rest here, allow the boundaries to soften. Allow the sense of being a tightly contained self to relax its grip. You do not need to maintain the edges of yourself so vigilantly right now. You can expand into the darkness around you, become continuous with the quiet room, dissolve into the soft rhythm of your own breathing. And in this softening, in this gentle dissolution of the separated self, sleep becomes less of a destination to reach and more of a state you are already beginning to inhabit. Because sleep itself is a kind of ego death, a nightly practice of letting go of the constructed self and trusting in the deeper ground of being that remains when all the roles and identities fall away. In the space between waking and sleep, the walls of yourself become permeable. And through those permeable walls, rest finally enters, not as something you achieved, but as something you allowed by loosening your grip on who you think you need to be. And as they find their place, as they settle into the deeper structures of your memory or dissolve into forgetting, the noise will naturally subside. Not because you silenced it, but because the work is complete. The librarian will eventually turn off the lights and go home. The river will eventually carry all the leaves downstream. The mental dust will eventually settle. Trust in this process. Trust in the ancient wisdom of your brain. Trust that the thoughts, no matter how loud they seem right now, are simply doing what they need to do. They are migrating, settling, finding rest. And in time, so will you. We have arrived at the deepest layer of understanding, the final barrier between you and the rest you seek. Everything we have explored, the heightened sensitivity to internal noise, the stretching of time, the looping thoughts, the migration of memory, all of it converges here, at the threshold guarded by the most sophisticated part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. 5. The prefrontal cortex sits behind your forehead, and it is the seat of executive function, planning, decision-making, and conscious control. It is what makes you human in the most profound sense. Your ability to think about thinking, to plan for the future, to override instinct with reason, to hold multiple ideas in mind simultaneously and weigh them against each other. This remarkable structure is also the reason you are still awake. The prefrontal cortex is the last part of the brain to yield to sleep. It is the stubborn guardian that insists on maintaining vigilance, maintaining control, maintaining the illusion that you are steering the ship of consciousness. And as long as it remains active, fully engaged, sleep remains impossible. Think of your brain as a large building at the end of a workday. Department by department, floor by floor, the lights turn off. The visual processing centers dim. The language centers quiet. The emotional centers soften. But on the top floor, in the corner office with the best view, one light remains on. The prefrontal cortex is still at its desk, still reviewing reports, still making plans, still convinced that its vigilance is necessary. The moment of true rest arrives not when you silence the thoughts, but when the prefrontal cortex gently deactivates, allowing the thoughts to simply exist without requiring your analysis or intervention. This is the crucial distinction. The thoughts do not need to stop. They simply need to stop mattering to the executive control center of your brain. But how does this deactivation happen? Not through effort. Not through force of will. The prefrontal cortex cannot be commanded to turn off, because it is the very part of the brain that would be doing the commanding. You cannot think your way out of thinking. You cannot control your way into letting go of control. This is the paradox, the koan, the unsolvable riddle that keeps you awake. The resolution comes not through solving, but through surrendering. Not through finding the right answer, but through accepting that there is no answer to find tonight. The prefrontal cortex deactivates when it runs out of problems that seem solvable, when it finally accepts that no amount of planning or analysis will change anything about this present moment. This is why acceptance is the key. Not acceptance in the passive, defeated sense of giving up, but acceptance in the active, courageous sense of choosing to be present with what is, rather than fighting for what should be. Accept that your mind is loud. Accept that sleep has not yet come. Accept that you have thoughts and worries and unfinished business. Accept all of it, without judgment, without the need to fix or change or improve. When you accept the loud thoughts as a natural part of the deactivation sequence, something shifts. The prefrontal cortex, having nothing left to solve, begins to relax its grip. It is like a clenched fist slowly opening, not because someone pried the fingers apart, but because the hand finally realized there was nothing it needed to hold on to. Your mind is like a vast computer cooling down after a long day of processing. The soft hum and whirring you hear, the thoughts, the worries, the memories, is simply the final energy dissipation. Computers do not power down instantly. They go through a shutdown sequence, saving files, closing programs, emptying caches. There is a period of heightened activity right before the stillness. This is normal. This is necessary. Do not fight the sound. Do not judge yourself for not being asleep yet. Do not calculate how many hours you have left before morning, or how tired you will be tomorrow. These calculations are just the prefrontal cortex trying to remain relevant, trying to convince you that its services are still needed. Smile at these attempts, the way you might smile at a well-meaning friend who does not know when to stop helping. Just breathe in the deep comfort of the scientific fact that by simply lying still, you are already moving toward the profound and necessary quiet that follows. Your body knows how to sleep. Your brain knows how to deactivate. These are not skills you need to learn or remember. They are built into your biology, as fundamental as breathing, as automatic as your heartbeat. There is something worth recognizing about this particular moment, this specific night, this unique constellation of circumstances that has brought you here, to this bed, to this darkness, to these thoughts. This exact configuration of your consciousness, these worries, these sensations, this quality of wakefulness, will never exist in precisely this way again. Tomorrow night will be different. Next week will be different. Every night is its own universe, unrepeatable, singular, fleeting. Neuroscience has revealed something beautiful about the brain. It is never the same twice. Even as you lie here, your neural pathways are subtly reorganizing themselves. The synaptic connections that were strongest this morning have already changed. New connections have formed. Old ones have weakened. The brain you take into sleep tonight is not the same brain that woke up this morning, and it will not be the same brain that wakes tomorrow. This constant change, this neuroplasticity, means that every night of sleep is a unique event in the life of your brain. The consolidation of memories happening tonight is different from any other night. The emotional processing, the synaptic pruning, the dream construction, all of it is shaped by the specific experiences and exposures of this particular day. Your brain is creating something that has never existed before and will never exist again. And yet, despite this profound uniqueness, there is a tendency to judge tonight against some idealized standard. You find yourself thinking, "I should be asleep by now. Other nights I fall asleep faster. Last week I slept better. Tomorrow I need to sleep well." All of these thoughts impose an external measure on an experience that is inherently incomparable. Tonight is not better or worse than other nights. It is simply different. It is simply itself. What if you could release the need for tonight to be anything other than what it is? What if this wakefulness, this particular quality of consciousness, this specific texture of thought and feeling, is exactly what this night is meant to hold? Not because there is some grand plan or purpose, but simply because this is what is actually happening, and what is actually happening is always, in some sense, enough. This doesn't mean resignation or passive acceptance of suffering. It means recognizing that your experience right now, whatever it is not a mistake or a failure. It is simply the authentic expression of where your nervous system is at this moment, given everything that has led to this point, the stresses of your day, the temperature of your room, the thoughts in your mind, the state of your body, the countless variables that shape each moment of consciousness. There is a particular kind of peace that comes from this recognition. It is the peace of no longer fighting against reality, no longer insisting that this moment should be different from what it is. This doesn't mean you stop caring about sleep or stop creating conditions that support rest. It means you stop adding the extra layer of suffering that comes from judging your experience as wrong or inadequate. Consider the gift hidden within difficult nights. They teach you something that easy nights never could, that your worth is not determined by your productivity, your performance, or even your ability to sleep on command. They teach you patience, humility, the limits of control. They show you that you can be uncomfortable and still be okay, that you can be tired and still be whole, that you can fail to achieve a goal and still be deserving of kindness, especially your own kindness. And there is research to support this perspective. Studies on stress resilience have shown that the ability to accept difficult experiences without adding self-judgment is one of the strongest predictors of psychological well-being. People who can say, "This is hard, and I'm struggling, and that's okay," recover faster and suffer less than those who add layers of shame and self-criticism to their challenges. So tonight, whatever happens with sleep, you are participating in something valuable. If you fall asleep soon, your brain will do its essential work of restoration and consolidation. If you remain awake longer, you are practicing a different kind of valuable skill, the ability to be present with discomfort, to offer yourself compassion in difficulty, to recognize that your experience is valid even when it doesn't match your preferences. This night will never come again. And that impermanence, rather than creating pressure for the night to be special or successful, actually liberates you from needing it to be anything at all. Because if tonight is already unique, already unrepeatable, already singular in the story of your life, then it doesn't need to prove itself or justify itself or be compared to anything else. It can simply be what it is, this particular expression of consciousness, this specific flavor of wakefulness or rest, this moment in an infinite series of moments that make up a human life. There is something deeply compassionate you can do right now. You can thank this night for whatever it offers. Thank it for the quiet, even if the quiet feels too loud inside. Thank it for the darkness, even if the darkness reveals thoughts you'd rather not see. Thank it for the opportunity to practice acceptance, patience, trust. Thank it for being exactly itself, without apology, without trying to be anything other than what it authentically is. And in offering that gratitude, you might find that the struggle softens just a little. Not because the circumstances have changed, but because your relationship to the circumstances has changed. You are no longer at war with this night. You are in conversation with it, dancing with it, allowing it to unfold according to its own rhythm rather than the rhythm you wish it would have. This night will never come again, and that is precisely why it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be lived, experienced, allowed. And you are doing that right now, breath by breath, moment by moment, with whatever grace you can muster. That is more than enough. That has always been enough. So rest here, not in the sleep that may or may not come, but in the deeper rest of self-acceptance, of releasing judgment, of recognizing that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing, even if that means simply lying here, breathing, being alive in this particular night that will never come again. Even if you do not fall asleep right away, even if you lie awake for hours, you are still resting. Your body is still horizontal, conserving energy. Your muscles are still relaxed, recovering from the day's exertions. Your nervous system is still down-regulating, moving from the sympathetic fight or flight mode toward the parasympathetic rest and digest mode. This is not wasted time. This is healing time. The final piece is not found in an answer, but in acceptance. Accept the noise. Accept the time passing. Accept the thoughts that will not quiet. Accept your humanness, your inability to simply switch off like a machine. Accept that some nights are like this, and that they always have been, and that you have always survived them. And in that acceptance, create space for the possibility of release. Not because you have earned it through correct thinking or proper technique, but because your brain, given enough time in stillness and acceptance, will eventually do what it has always done, guide you towards sleep. The prefrontal cortex is flickering now, like that last light in the building, dimming and brightening, dimming and brightening. Each breath is an invitation for it to dim a little more. Each moment of acceptance is permission for it to finally rest. You do not need to make it happen. You simply need to stop preventing it from happening. Let go of the need to know when sleep will arrive. Let go of the need to control the process. Let go of the need to do this perfectly. There is no perfect. There is only this: you, breathing, resting, allowing, accepting. And that is enough. That has always been enough. The final barrier is not a wall to break through. It is a door that opens when you stop pushing. And on the other side of that door is not the sleep you are seeking, but the peace that allows sleep to find you. And with that gentle acceptance, we surrender the need to know the destination. The thoughts are fading now, becoming whispers, becoming less distinct, like distant voices carried away on the wind, allowing the vast, slow, silent process of your biology to continue its essential work. You are safe here, drifting, flowing, finding rest. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. Just this moment, this breath, this gentle letting go. And until we meet again, I'll see you soon for another episode of relaxation. May your rest be deep and your dreams be gentle.